Coming up, the vBold speakers from Velodyne, the Ultimate Ears Bluetooth speakers, the Thecus network-attached storage, and I've got the new iPhones. My reviews of the iPhone 6 and 6 Plus. It's time to watch before you buy.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for Before You Buy is brought to you by Cashfly at CACHEFLY.com.
Before You Buy is brought to you by the Books. Beautiful, affordable flowers grown on an active volcano and shipped for free. For 15% off your first bouquet, visit thebooks.com/twit and use the code TWIT at checkout. That's THEBOUQS.com/twit. Don't forget to use the code TWIT to save 15%. Welcome to Before You Buy, the product review show where we get all the latest, greatest stuff and parcel it out to our various Twit family members and give you a chance to see what it would be like to actually own these products. We got these new headsets in. Brian Burnett, our technical director, he's a big-time gamer. He likes to sit there and frag people. We thought we'd get his opinion of the Velodyne vBold headset. Brian?
This is Brian Burnett from Before You Buy and Twit, and today I'm taking a look at the vBold over-ear Bluetooth headphones. At a glance, you can see they have a pretty artistic design with a jigsaw pattern kind of button system on the right side. Taking a closer look, you have your volume buttons along the edge. On the left side is a regular headset jack, so you can plug it into a device that may not have Bluetooth. Charging the vBold takes about an hour and a half to get back to full battery and gives you 10 hours of talk and music time. One nice design feature of the vBold is that it collapses. It doesn't really get very compact, but definitely less unwieldy when you fold it in on itself. And it comes with a travel pouch if that's something you're interested in. As for build quality, it doesn't feel too flimsy and the hinges on the sides feel relatively solid when you do put it in its collapsed mode. It has an integrated microphone, which I did a little test with.
So this is what the microphone sounds like on the vBold. You can tell it's a little hollow, but considering there's no mic extension, it's not terrible.
Also, Velodyne claims a 30-foot range with the Bluetooth, and that's pretty accurate. Now, for sound, the 40mm drivers inside the headphones sound really good. They have a good range and decent bass for the size of headphone. As for the ear cups, they are on the relatively small side. They do fit over my ears comfortably, but if you have larger ears, you might want to try this headphone on and be sure that your ears don't get pinched in them, because then I could see these being a little less comfortable for most people than they are for me. Now, one of my favorite features on this headphone is NFC. These headphones do come equipped with NFC, which is my preferred way of connecting to any Bluetooth device. As for pros and cons, the sound on these headphones is really good for their size. And after gaming and listening to music for a few hours, we're still really comfortable wearing. Also, the inclusion of NFC makes it super easy to pair to my phone or other NFC-enabled devices. As for cons, the buttons took a little time to get memorized because there is no indication on the actual headphones of what each button does. There isn't any noise canceling, and at the price that this headphone comes in listed at, it'd be something that you would expect. And the last con is the mic, which is okay for taking calls, but I've definitely had gaming headsets with better mics on it. So with the listed price of $349, I would have to say this is a don't buy, but on Amazon it's listed at $148. So if this headphone fits your head comfortably, I would say a try. This has been Brian Burnett from Before You Buy reviewing the Velodyne vBold headphones.
Thank you, Brian Burnett. He is, of course, our technical director. You'll also catch him on Know How. He's an inveterate projector, likes to build stuff. It's got some great ideas, and you watch him on Know How. Now, time, as long as we're talking Bluetooth, to talk about not headsets but speakers. Tanya Hall, who's the host of Marketing Mavericks on this network, got the Ultimate Ears Bluetooth speakers and gave us this review.
Hi, I'm Tanya Hall. I'm the host of Marketing Mavericks here on Twit TV, and I'm going to review the Ultimate Ear 360 Boom speakers for you today. I've got two of them to review. They actually come in different colors. Here you see two of those. So for starters, let's talk about the shape and style. So these are pretty lightweight, but say they're just over a pound, so very, very easy to carry. Some of the aspects of the speaker is that there's the volume, which I really like because on some of these speakers, it's very small and it's just embossed. It's not actually like visible here. Here's the up, here's the down. There's the power right here, if you can see that. And the pairing is right here. On the bottom, you have a very unique little clip here that you could attach to a carabiner, maybe carry it around. You have an audio input and the charging right here. The reason I have two is because one of the unique things about these speakers is that you can actually use two at once, which is kind of nice. They are 15-hour battery life for each one of these. And here's something really neat. So let me show you how to actually check your battery life. You can press the volume up and down at the same time.
100% charge.
Which is very cool. I've had Bluetooth speakers that did not tell you that they were dying or they had some sort of indicator, but then suddenly they just died. This is a really neat way to check it. So, and again, 15 hours is a really long time. That's longer than all of the other Bluetooth speakers that I've, portable speakers of this size that I've checked before. The range is about 50 feet, and especially if you have two of these, you've got quite a distance. You could put these in the middle of the room or on either edge of the room, and you're gonna fill the room with music. The other thing I would say about this is they are really loud. In a good way. I mean, you could turn it up to the highest volume and they're going to be very, very loud for you. This is turned down. Let me turn it up for you. You can hear the bass. This is not even all the way full volume. And as you can tell, it's very loud. These are both water resistant, so you can have them maybe at the poolside. Maybe you want to take one to the bathroom for a nice long hot bath, or maybe you want to have it at the dinner table with you and you spill some water on it, whatever. It should be okay. I wouldn't immerse it in water because that's not what it's made for, but it is actually durable and cleanable. So again, if you have this at a party and somebody spills something on it, they're very easy to clean. They both come with a bright yellow charger and wall adapter and instructions. The other thing that allows you to use both of these at the same time is that their free app that is offered for the speakers by UE, it does allow you to pair up both of these two speakers at the same time. And there's an alarm in here, there's settings, it's got some instructions in here. So it's good to have if you want to use two at a time. If you decide to purchase two of these, it's a free app. So here are my pros. The volume. It's really loud when you want it. And it's got good bass. It's not overpowering, but surprisingly pretty strong. And the possibility of 15 hours playtime. I did say possibility. It does depend on volume. And the 50-foot reach, which is pretty far. The other thing that I like is that it's actually water resistant. So you can, have it next to the pool or maybe by the bathtub or whatever. I really like that. Some of the updates from the last time that we reviewed these are a custom equalizer setting. So basically it just memorizes your preferences, which is great that you don't have to set it every time. It's got a 32-step volume control. And if you don't want to adjust the volume there, you can actually use a new fader in the app. There's also an alarm in the app, which is new, which I kind of found a little handy. And the double up feature also remembers. So if you're pairing the Bluetooth speakers, Here are the cons. Just a personal thing, and I think if you're spending a couple of $100s, then you're going to want a carrying case. And the packaging could actually be used as a carrying case, but the packaging probably wouldn't last that long as a carrying case. Although it is nicely packaged, I wouldn't actually use it long term as a carrying case. The battery is not replaceable. Again, for the price, that's kind of a downer. And the battery life doesn't last as long when the volume is turned up. So keep in mind, it does say 15 hours, but if you're listening to it at high volume, it's actually going to last you a lot less. So maybe 3, 4, or 5 hours. The price is at $199, which isn't bad considering the fact that you actually have a really good quality speaker. I mean, this is one of the best that I've actually reviewed. And again, it's easy to use and you can do 2 at a time. Overall, I would say the Ultimate Ears UE Boom 360 speakers are a definite buy. Thanks so much. My name is Tanya Hall, and you can follow me at Marketing Mavericks on Twit TV.
Thank you, Tanya. Tanya Hall, the host of the great Marketing Mavericks show on this network. It's a fascinating show if you want to see how marketing is changing in the world of the internet. Just a little note, those speakers really are Logitech speakers, I think. Ultimate Ears was acquired by Logitech a year or 2 ago, and they still use the Ultimate Ears brand, but those feel like they're more like a Logitech pair of speakers than the Ultimate Ears. All right, coming up, our iPhone 6 review. But first, Chad Johnson, the old redhead. Chad produces all of my shows, and he's also the host of his own, like 18 other shows. I'm going to see if I can remember them.
Okay.
OMG Craft, the Minecraft show. Right. Fabulous. Watch it on YouTube or on our network. What else? Reddit Up, the show all about Reddit. The Giz Wiz, the show with the guy and the mustache and the things.
Yes.
Am I missing anything?
Just this show.
This show.
It seems like I'm on every week.
He's on all the time. Actually, this is a kind of a more technical thing to talk about.
Right.
Network attached storage.
Right.
The idea being that you have, it's really a computer without a keyboard, mouse, or monitor. You attach it to your network, and you use it for all of the computers on your network to back up, to store media files. I'd never heard of this company. Is it Thecus?
Thecus. Thecus is actually pretty popular in the NAS space.
Okay.
This is sort of a NAS that you would use in the house. It's a 2-bay. A lot of these have multiple drives. You could also buy less expensive home versions that don't have 2 bays, but this one does, which is kind of nice.
You get two things you get with multi-bay, multi-drive NAS storage. Of course, is capacity, but also redundancy. So you're a little reliable. With only 2 drives, you have to choose, don't you, between redundancy and capacity?
Absolutely. So this has 3 RAID options. You can do either RAID 0, which means that it's keeping them copied over RAID 1, which is striped, so it's better performance.
And it's twice the size.
And it's twice the size. But well, no, that would actually be the
drive.
same.
Yeah, striped you'd get.
Yeah, you would get twice the size, but
so
you get half the reliability because if one drive dies, you you lose all.
They call that scary. I think that's RAID 0. RAID 1 then is mirrored, which means each drive has exactly the same contents. That's more reliable.
Right.
But not as great a capacity.
Now I didn't have matching drives.
What's the third one? 0+1?
It's actually JBOD, just a bunch of disks, which means that you'll take all the disks and it will basically merge it into one big disk that you can have access to.
Okay. So that's the problem with 2 drives. You don't get the higher quality RAID that gives you better redundancy.
And so just a bunch of disks is what I decided to go into because I didn't have matching drives. I wasn't really...
It's fine.
Yeah, so anyway, that's what I did.
So you put a terabyte drive and a 2 terabyte?
I put a 2 and a 3 terabyte drive in there.
5 terabytes
5 terabytes in there.
All right.
Setup process is all done on the web. You have just a portal that you go into and you have a kind of a familiar looking web interface that if you've had to do any setup on a wireless access point or any of those wireless routers, it's about the same looking process where with menus and that sort of stuff. Not desktop class, I would say, with absolutely usable menus, but it's all you need. On the back of this, it has an Ethernet port, which you need for it to be a network-attached storage device. That's that. It also has USB 2 and USB 3, which means that either A, you can copy off of a USB disk onto this. There's even a USB copy button right there on the front. Or you can extend the drive by adding your own USB drive onto the back of this.
That's kind of interesting. I could take an existing USB drive, hook it up, and press the button, and it will copy it.
Right. Right.
Huh.
Right.
Without a computer.
Right. Right, which is pretty neat. This is running, it's basically a Linux computer, just like you said. So inside of here is a PowerPC 800 megahertz processor. It only has 512 megabytes of RAM. And then, of course, the two large drive bays, that's SATA drive bays. And that's about it on hardware. Plastic case. There's a small fan on the back here for that. Now, one thing that I do want to mention is that this is pretty loud. In fact, it was so loud. I had this in my bedroom. It's so loud.
How loud is it? I'm sorry, I missed my cue.
Yeah, no problem.
How loud is it?
That I could not keep this going while asleep. The fan was so loud that I had to turn it off every night, which is really what you don't want to do with a NAS. You want to keep it on all the time so you can have your backups always running.
So you need a closet for this or a room that's away from where you sleep.
Right, or if your router happens to be in the hallway or in the living room, that would make a lot of sense. My router happens to be in the bedroom because that's where I'm going to lounge on my bed and type away on a laptop.
Right.
So that's kind of a disappointment. In terms of the software, it does do a lot of features. You can, of course, get it at a system log. You have notifications. You can change your RAID partitioning. Of course, you're going to have to almost always delete the data that you have stored on the drives if you're going to change the RAID around. This is hot swappable, so if
that's nice.
So if your RAID, if you have it as a redundant and one of the drives dies, you can throw a new one in with it still running, and it will rebuild.
That would only be in RAID 1 mode.
Right, exactly.
Or I guess JBOD, you could do that.
Right, right.
Because if you did it with the striped mode, RAID 0,
data's gone. Your data's gone at that point.
Yeah.
You can also sign in with a Thecus ID, and what that allows you to do is it sets up a dynamic link so that wherever you are across the world, even if you have, say, a dynamic IP address at home, you'll be able to use their T on the Go app to access your data on the drive. So you can get at photos and videos and stuff from your house using the Thecus ID, so you don't have to set up any weird dynamic DNS stuff or port forwards and stuff like that, which is pretty nice.
That's nice, because really this is a commodity category where most NAS drives have kind of the same basic functionality.
Right.
It's those little extra things that make one better than the other, and I like that, the dynamic IP address.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So the biggest thing also on this is the price. This is, the MSRP is $150, but you can easily find it on the street for $116.
That's minus drives, but that's a great price.
Minus drives. That's a really good price.
Very aggressive.
For a NAS.
Yeah.
And you can tell that they've cut a few corners, like this tiny fan on the back. I was talking to Padre, and one of his, he was
That's
like,
why it's loud.
normally there's just a huge drive right here, or a huge fan right here to pull the heat out of this. So, So for the pros, I'm going to give it that it's fairly easy to set up. It has a few different RAID options, and the price is very competitive. On the cons, it was pretty loud. I really wish that both on the T2Go app and on the web portal version that they would update the user interface, but that might be something they can't do. So bad user interface is also for the cons. So coming in at $150 MSRP, but easily found all over the internet for $116 for the Thecus. Oh, I don't even think I said the model number. This is the N2310 Thecus 2-drive NAS. I'm going to give this a buy.
Oh, okay. Good.
I liked it. It was loud, but you gotta give them something to get that price. Right. I really think this is a very competitive price. And also, doing my research, looking at other NASs in the category, this was by far the least expensive with the most features.
Yeah, a great value
in the
for
category.
the Thecus if you need an inexpensive 2-disc array.
Yep.
NAS.
NAS.
Thank you, OMG Chad. Do you have anybody special in your life? You ever miss a birthday or an anniversary and say, gosh, I wish I'd remembered so I could send them flowers? You ever have that happen to you? Yeah, it happens to me pretty much yearly. Well, I've got a solution for you from the Bouk. Bouk as in bouquet, B-O-U-Q-S, thebouks.com. Beautiful, affordable flowers. They grow themselves. This is different. You know, most florists, they're buying flowers. They've got to get the flowers in. They ship them to you. By the time you get them, they're days old. The Bouk's actually grows their own flowers from a sustainable farm on a, get this, active volcano in South America. They're volcano flowers. And one of the reasons they do it is, of course, at that 10,000 foot above sea level, they get more sun. The volcanic snowmelt and the mineral-rich soil make more beautiful, vibrant colors. These are gorgeous flowers. And because they grow their own, they cut the flowers the day you order them. They're shipped straight from the farm. So your Bouk is fresh. They have apps for iOS, Android, and Windows Phone, so you can order right from the phone if you want. They are all backed by their happiness guarantee. And this is what I love, the concierge service. You can arrange for them to automatically deliver flowers on special days or just because on your schedule from the Bouk's. I think this is great. Pricing is up front. I like that too. I hate it when you go to a site and they say $40 for the flowers and then another $50 for shipping and handling. Right. They don't do that to you. The checkout is painless and your loved ones get unique flowers grown on a volcano. You save the money. They've got roses, lilies, daisies, and more. You see these beautiful arrangements. You'll find them at the website, thebouks.com. And prices start at $40. Double the blooms for just $10. You know, once they're shipping it to you, just throw in, say, double the blooms for $10. And by the way, you'll save 15% off your first order by entering the code TWIT at checkout. Maybe today's not the day that you need beautiful volcano flowers delivered to your door.
The volcano collection.
But
that's what it says up there.
Of course it is. These are from the volcano.
That's great.
But if you make a note of this, and when the day comes that you need those flowers, remember thebouks.com. Visit thebouks.com/twit. And don't forget to I would get the app on your phone. That way, because this is when I always remember, on the way home or, when it's almost too late. If it's on the phone, boom, bing, the Bouk's.
For me, this is great news because I like to give my parents flowers all the time. Mother's Day comes around, and I never know who's responsible.
You can set that up. You can set that up. You and your family could set, your brothers and sisters could set that up. Automatic floral. I like it. Thebouks.com/twit. Free shipping within the U.S. 15% off when you use the offer code TWIT. All right, from the Bouk's. Well, Chad and I waited in line, so did Jammer B, so did, who else was in the line?
There was Greg.
Greg was
Jeff
there.
Needles was there.
Needles was there. We had a big group. Glenn was there too, yeah. Everybody wanted the new iPhone. And it was interesting, when we canvassed our staff, everybody wanted the big new iPhone.
Absolutely.
So this is it. This is the 6 and the 6 Plus. These are the new iPhones from Apple, available for sale at Apple stores, but at also all the carriers in the U.S., Sprint, AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile, and a few of the smaller carriers as well. You'll also find it internationally now in, I think, 13 countries or maybe even more, and more all the time, soon to be China and all over the world. These are easily the hottest, most awaited phones in the U.S., and you could tell by those long, long lines. So my review, having now, I admittedly only got it on Friday. I didn't get an advance copy like some people. First of all, I think even if you look on TV, this is the iPhone 6, the 4.7-inch screen. It's so thin and so beautiful. These are easily the most elegant, beautiful phones Apple's ever made, and I think probably the most elegant and beautiful phones on the market today. They've really done a stellar job. We've heard, I mean, they're going to be fragile. All smartphones are fragile. This is not Sapphire. We think it's probably Gorilla Glass 3, and yes, they do crack. We've seen people crack them already, but what phone doesn't? We've even seen reports that some of them, probably more likely the big 6 Plus, will bend in your pocket. Well, are you surprised? Look at that. It's so thin. So you're going to want to be careful with these. Probably get an OtterBox case if you're a fumble fingers. But that's always been true of iPhones, and it's no less true now. iFixit does report that these are a little bit more fixable, that the screen comes off a little bit more easily, so there will be an aftermarket third-party screen replacement, people and so forth. As you would expect, it is, the kind of the state-of-the-art in iOS. The fingerprint reader, the Touch ID as Apple calls it, works spectacularly well. I've trained it, for instance, so that I can use the iPhone in my right hand and just tap the thumbprint ID with my thumb, the Touch ID with my thumb, and it opens up right away. You can also use it to make Apple Store purchases and iTunes Store purchases. And as you know, with Apple Pay, their electronic tap to pay, soon you'll be able to use the fingerprint to actually make purchases in the store, because yes, Apple has finally included NFC, the near field communication chips, in their phone. That's a chip that's been in many other phones, but now that Apple's doing it, I expect to see it in use more often. Apple Pay will debut next month. It's not available, and you really can't use the NFC chip right now for anything else. Best cameras on the market. In fact, we're starting to see reviews come in. I've seen a lot of the reviews, and I've seen a lot of the images, and yep, Apple's done it again. Still 8 megapixels, but they've improved the quality of the camera. The software behind it is superb. The dual tone flash means that flashes look better because they're color balanced for the environment you're in. And you may not even need the flash. Both phones do a lot of trickery to get excellent low light photography, and especially the iPhone 6 Plus, which has an optic image stabilizer in it. Apple also made a big deal about the phase focusing built into the sensor chip on this phone, and indeed, it focuses very quickly. The super slow-mo video is superb and gorgeous. So they've really made a phone with a camera that is second to none. In fact, I think I would say this is still the best camera on the market today. That's pretty impressive, considering Apple hasn't upped the number of pixels, but they've made major improvements in so many areas that this is just a fantastic camera, despite the immense amount of competition for that title. iOS 8 has some very nice new features I think you'll like a lot, including the new notification system. Now, of course, if you have an older iPhone, you can still get iOS 8 on your 5S or your 5 or even your 4S, but it really sings on this, partly because this phone has the new A8 chip. Here's Kevin Rose's slow-mo of a Tony Hawk event. This is the 240 frames per second slow-mo, so that is what, 1/4 speed.
Yeah.
And it just is fantastic. Play that again, Brian. It starts at full speed and then slows down, although
This is mind-blowing.
it's done in metadata, so you can actually edit it and have any portion of the entire video be slow-mo or not. So that's really nice after the fact control. Apple's iOS 8 means also it's easier to share videos and pictures with people. They've added additional sharing features. I think they've really done a nice job. Look at that. That is spectacular. And that's with a phone. That's just...
that blows my mind. I mean, I remember trying to get like 60 frames high speed off of like actual film cameras, and
remember,
it's so difficult.
It's a very competitive market. Samsung phones have super slow-mo. There are a lot of phones out there with these kinds of capabilities. This is, in many cases, Apple's just playing catch-up with the market today. Yet it's really well done. The 6 Plus, which is a 5.5-inch screen, has some additional features specifically for this big screen. And I have to say, if you've been using an iPhone, you're going to be a little bit challenged by the size. This is not just a little jump. This is a massive jump. Let me open Apple's Mail program and show you. For instance, as you turn the phone on its side, you're able to, let's cancel out on this so you can see, you're able to go from looking at a message full screen to looking at much more like a desktop or an iPad interface, where a list of messages is on the left and the message itself is on the right. This is great. And it's not just Mail, it's throughout the iPhone. Now, of course, Apple has updated many of its programs to take advantage of this. Others have not. In fact, one negative you'll see on both phones immediately is Google and other applications have not been updated for the new screen resolutions. That means they're scaled. Apple does a good job with scaling. Nevertheless, it looks a little weird. The text is bigger than you probably would want it to be. I expect every company, though, will be quickly working to update their apps to work better with iOS. All right, let me run through the pros and cons, and I have them right here. Let me just task switch over to my sheet. It is, I would say, and this is totally subjective, the most beautiful smartphone ever made. I mean, if you take a look at it, you may disagree, but you can't disagree that it is absolutely gorgeous. The best cameras on a phone, it's not just me, DxO and others have agreed. Crisp, brilliant, responsive touch screens. These are not unique. In fact, we think that the touch screen on the 6 Plus is the exact same part as on the 1 Plus One. It's certainly exactly the same size, has many of the same features, but it looks good, and Apple as always does a little bit extra to make their stuff just look a little bit better. You got to admire Apple's commitment to security and privacy, and that's something Apple is doing with iOS 8 and across the board, and something they're going to have to do because, of course, if we start using these for electronic payments, for recording health we're going to care a lot about privacy and security on this phone. There's nobody better when it comes to privacy and security than Apple. And Apple has begun to really tout that as a feature. And I believe that that's something they should tout. I think it's something they do particularly well. So you get that kind of built in to all of the iPhones. In fact, into many iOS 8 devices. But the hardware on this allows things to be even more secure. The fingerprint solution works fabulous, better than Samsung's, better than anybody's. The Apple ecosystem itself is going to be an advantage as Apple Pay comes to the front, as we see more HomeKit and HealthKit tools. That'll make for a better user experience. I like Messages. I don't know if you've used Messages. If most of your friends and family are in iOS, you'll love Messages. It's easy to send now, not just text messages, but audio, pictures. It's really a very elegant solution. Works best when you're going iOS to iOS, however, and there are still issues moving back and forth from iOS to Android. If you're a Macintosh user, a computer user, you'll love the continuity and handoff features that will allow you to use your new iPhone to make phone calls on your desktop computer, to send messages from your desktop computer and respond to them. And I have to say, finally, we've got screen sizes that are comparable with the rest of the world. I like a big screen, and I'm really glad to have a screen with a little bit more real estate. Although a funny thing happened to me on the way to the Apple store after I started playing with these. I really feel for most Apple users who are used to the smaller 4-inch screens or less, the iPhone 6, the 4.7, even this is going to feel a little big. This is the phone you should get. 4.7 inches is exactly the right size. I really thought I was going to want a bigger phone, and I am still drawn kind of inexorably towards the 4.7-inch phone. It just feels good in the hand. If you're already using an iPhone, this 5.5-inch screen is going to be such a big jump. I'd recommend you at least strongly consider the iPhone 6 and not the iPhone 6 Plus.
And I think you were making a really good point on Mac Break Weekly that the 6 Plus, all it does is stretch your apps even larger.
It's great for people with poor eyesight.
Right, but
it's not like you get to use that real estate except for the sideways mode.
It's not like Android where the app will refit and you'll maybe get an extra row of icons or an extra.
That may change. I mean, people can make their apps, their apps will know which phone they're on, and people may start taking advantage of the extra real estate. But for right now, it's just bigger. Not necessarily better.
More difficult to use, basically.
And harder to use with one hand, of course. I don't use my phone with one hand. I'm used to using two hands now because of the big phones I've been using. But one-handed iPhone users, stick with the iPhone 6. You're not going to want to go to the Plus. The A8 processor, by the way, getting great results in benchmarks. Among the fastest processors on the market today. The GPU also very good. And Apple's new Metal software, kind of DirectX for the iPhone, means games really sing on this. This is going to be a great platform, and that might be one reason to get the bigger phone. If you're a gamer, the 6 Plus will be a fantastic platform, as the iPad has been up to now. However, there are some negatives. Nobody's perfect in this world. It is a closed ecosystem. That's a pro and a con. The closed ecosystem means Apple controls it more tightly. They can ensure your privacy and security, but it means you can't do as many things as you want. And in many cases, Apple's kind of a nanny. Lots of pop-ups and warnings. You're being followed. There's location turned on, stuff like that. Some people will be reassured by that. I found that a little bit annoying. It's not quite as flexible as the Android ecosystem. And these are, I have to say, the most expensive phones on the planet, except for the Virtu diamond-encrusted phones. For a stock smartphone, top-of-the-line 6 Plus with 128 gigs of RAM, $949. That's more than most computers cost these days. It's a very expensive phone. And that will set some people back on their heels a little bit, too. And finally, fewer customization choices. Really, Apple's very clear that this is the screen you're going to see when you launch. There's no third-party launchers available. They've only recently added third-party keyboards. Basically, when you go with iPhone, when you go with any Apple product, it's Apple's way or the highway. You only get 3 different colors. You can get this slate gray back, there's a gold back, and there's a silver back. The front can only be black or white, and the black only goes with space gray, the white with the other 2 options. It's kind of like Henry Ford, who said you can get a Model T in any color you want as long as it's black. Apple really doesn't like to make too many different kinds of phones. That will be probably the final negative is they're hard to get. Good luck finding them. That will ease up over time. But the success of Apple's iPhone, it really means you do have to end up, in many cases, waiting in line, waiting to get your phone. A lot of people who ordered online will be getting their phone around Thanksgiving time. Yeah, that's a long delay. And if you're in China, well, you're just going to have to send somebody to the States to get in line for you because they're not available in China yet. So pros and cons, there you have it. Obviously, I'm going to give the iPhone 6 and 6 Plus a strong buy. These are Apple's catch-up products that make them a totally strong competitor in the phone marketplace. They're not necessarily better in every respect than what's out there from Android and even Microsoft. They are better in some respects, in many respects. My recommendation, if you're choosing a smartphone, is to try them all and find the one that fits your needs best. But boy, if you're an iPhone user, you're going to be very happy when that new iPhone comes in the mail because these things are gorgeous. They're beautiful. And again, consider the smaller one if you're not absolutely sure you can use that 5.5 inches of real estate. Well, that's it for Before You Buy for this week. I hope you've enjoyed the show. Thanks to our reviewers, Brian Burnett and Chad Johnson and Tanya Hall. Thanks to you for watching the show. We appreciate it. You can watch Before You Buy be produced live every Tuesday afternoon right after Security Now, around about 3:30 Pacific time. But, you know, we also make the full show available on our website, twit.tv/BYB, on YouTube. In fact, we do something special on YouTube. We not only give you the full show, but we chop each review up so that you can share, if you have some friends, for instance, interested in the iPhone, you can just share that particular review with them. That's youtube.com/beforeyoubuy. Email BYB@twit.tv if there's some products you'd like to see. And we'll make sure that we take a look at them for you. So that's it for this edition of Before You Buy. We thank you for joining us. Remember, you got to watch before you buy. We'll see you next time.